Welcome to the Freedom Founder Podcast. I'm your host, Zach Duggar. Did you know that research shows that the time at which an entrepreneur starts their business is generally, on average, at the age of 42? Now, my guest today is much younger than that. Casey Moore is the owner and CEO of Move More GR, and he started his company about a year and a half ago, and he's currently at the age of 24 years old. So he's a young entrepreneur, but he shows dedication, not just in the area of business, but also to fitness and self-improvement, which is a testament to his passion for success. He's a realist with a positive attitude. He's always seeking to improve himself and those around him. And he also is a motivator for his peers and believes that people closest to you have a significant impact on your success, advocating that you are the average of the 5 people closest to you. Let that sink in a moment. Think about those people. All right. 2 of Casey's inspirations are Andrew Tate and Jordan Peterson. They've inspired him on his journey as a young entrepreneur. So Casey, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you, Zach. It's good to be here.
Now, I love to start the conversation with just finding out a little bit about when you got that in you to get started as a small business owner. When was that time? How did that desire come about? And how old were you at that time?
Well, that actually goes way back before I even started my company.
Yep.
I remember when I was 17 living at home with my mom, and I would talk to her about passive income. I actually think one of my first questions that was anything sort of business related was, "Mom, why don't you own a duplex?" I think that was the first question that I ever asked her that was about making money in general.
Okay.
That was a very long time ago.
Okay. All right. So you had that in your mind that there was an opportunity to earn income, also passive income, from doing something in the area of business, whether it's real estate or owning a small business. And so did your mom have an answer for you?
Correct. No, her answer was we had to go to school at this school.
Okay.
Because I wanted to go to school with my cousin, so we lived there for that reason. And she was just more focusing on being a mom and actually raising her kids rather than doing that, because she was a single mom for most of, well, I would say half of my younger years, but she did a great job.
Awesome. Yeah, it definitely takes a lot of people behind us. I think really the dedication and support of people behind us are a definite motivator for a lot of people in business, and also a reason why a lot of people get into business or seek to make a better income. So on that topic, what drives you? What motivates you to continue to pursue improvement in your own self and now in business?
Yeah, honestly, I mean, I want to build for something in the future, right? So I want to build to have a family in the future where they don't have to ask me, "Hey, do we have enough money for sports?" Because we always have enough money, but I want them to be raised as humble, so that way they're not the kids at school saying, "Haha, my dad owns this car," right? I want to be able to raise that family. Now, right now, I don't have anybody to even have that with. But that's my long-term goal, is to create that wealth and that money for the future of the Moore family, right?
Yeah.
And that's what drives me.
Yep, absolutely. Kind of thinking more of the long term, which is not always common, really. I mean, especially in those younger years with somebody who before age 25 or and even beyond that, there are a lot of people thinking more in the short term and just making enough to pay some bills and maybe to have some money to go out on the weekend. So, I applaud you for that longer term thinking. I think that's very laudable and something that, is not a characteristic everybody carries. So
I
think that's admirable. So yeah, absolutely. Definitely. All right. So you had that in your heart, you have that longer term vision. Now let's talk about getting started. I mean, it isn't an immediate jump right in and out of the gate success with most businesses. So tell us about how your business got started and about how things went during those first, especially those first moves and some of the experiences you had.
Yeah, absolutely. So the very beginning was actually, I remember having a conversation with my dad. We were in his pickup because he's been in the moving industry for a very long time.
Okay.
So I asked him, Dad, why didn't you start your own moving company? And his answer, his original answer was, it's too difficult to do that.
Okay.
But
Sure.
I mean, he's been doing it for a very long time, so he has his own contracted version of the moving company. And then I've always wanted to own my own company in real estate, but owning my own business was something I didn't think I'd be able to do so quickly. So I was sitting down with a friend one day, and we thought, hey, let's just start a business. It was one of those conversations like, I'm just sick of being broke, working 9 to 5, doing this kind of legwork. And what kind of businesses can we start? And we came up with a list of 10 of those things. And then out of the 10 of those things, we came up with cons and pros for each one. And the first one I said was moving company, because I do have my dad's been doing this for 30, 40 years. I only had a year of moving experience prior to this. But then I had also tried to start a couple businesses in the past, like power washing and car flipping and stuff like that.
Okay.
So me and this friend, we ended up starting this business, and his job was to do the back end. Mine was all the front end. We ended up parting ways a couple months later. But the very beginning part, is crazy because it went from, I'm gonna say, 0 to hero very fast.
Okay.
There was multiple times where because I was also a real estate agent at the time. So I would do that from 9 to 4, 9 to 5, and then from 5 to midnight I'd be working on, pricing, website, trying to generate sales of some sort. And I remember our first move ever, we actually had no guys to do it. It was a move I had priced out to be around $3,000. After packing and moving all the furniture and everything. And I remember just packing it, actually, myself the first day. I spent, I think, 8 hours the night before. This is after 4 o'clock. I spent 8 hours the night before packing it. And then the next day, I was like, oh, shoot, I don't have anybody to help me move this. So we actually went to Facebook. We found 4 individuals who were willing to meet up with us and pay them cash for the day. And I've never been so scared. Honestly, it was a great group. It was a great group of guys, but I was, wow, how is this gonna turn out? And honestly, the client was really nice. I did my job to the best of my ability, what I thought I could do. It went off without a hitch. And, to this day, I still have actually one of those 4 reach out to us every couple months and say, I would love to come work with you guys.
Awesome.
And we would love to have him. He's just not local. So getting local is difficult for him. But that's like the beginning.
Yeah. No, I mean, and that's a great story. I mean, especially the fact that you're able to get things done the night before, get it packed, and then that day of, be able to get people to come out. And like you said, it didn't come without some level of fear and anxiety, but they showed up and they did the work and got it done, and the client was satisfied. And at the end of the day, you did the business, you made the money. So I mean, that's a great way to get started. And also that one individual who's still interested when he's available to come back and help out, which is also a benefit. Now, getting into a business like you are in, you have to have work that's available to you. Essentially, you have to kind of have jobs. It's like you were saying in real estate, in order to sell real estate or help someone buy, you have to have clients, or you have to have houses available to sell. So with the moving business, how do you make sure that you're getting business? How do you keep that train coming so that you can keep yourself and the people working for you busy?
Yeah, absolutely. So there's 2 different ways we did that. At the very beginning, including that move, we charged a deposit. So we didn't charge a very large deposit because I did some research on this, and it's always best to, when you're starting a company, to view it from the buyer perspective, right? So if somebody was going to be buying my service, if I tell them I require the entire cost of the move up front, they'd be like, why, right? Because that's where scammers come in. So at the very beginning, we charged a 30% deposit just to hold the truck, hold the date, stuff like that. So that was able to get us cash up front before we did the move in order to like rent the U-Hauls, in order to get the pads, get the equipment, and then eventually we built up from there. One of our partners actually that we still work with to date, we met about 2 months after I started that side of the company.
Okay.
So we partner locally with University Moving and Storage. So we own their terminal contract. And so that actually provides very stable work for all of our employees. So something that I noticed when I started the company was it's very seasonal, right?
Yeah.
Not a lot of people like to move in the winter, and that's like nationwide, right? So I want to make it less seasonal. Right. And so I wanted to find different avenues of us to get more jobs, right? And so this contract was going to be one of those. And it's actually blown up to be even way bigger than that. I mean, I see them as our number one client, right? They're our biggest client for sure. And we got to make sure we make them happy at all costs. That's bread and butter is the term I'll use. It's bread and butter, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Now, someone would say that your encounter with that relationship was kind of serendipitous. If I recall, when you and I talked before, you were in need of moving pads. Is that correct? Like you had reached out you were just trying to find moving pads?
Correct. Yeah.
How did you, tell us about that, how that connection happened.
Yeah. So it was weird because I had called 2 people before them and just said, hey, looking to buy moving pads. And like, well, what are you talking about? What are moving pads? Or I might have said moving blankets or something. But I didn't know where to find basically moving pads. And now having the connections I have, I can get moving pads anywhere I really need to. But I just called my dad and he said, call your local agent. So he actually found the local agent for me. I made the phone call and I asked for pads, and they asked, why are you asking for pads? Because it's out of the ordinary for somebody who's moving to ask for pads. Yeah. Right. So I told him, we own our own moving company. We're smaller size. And he just offered me to come in and show me the warehouse. And then from there on, that's how it went about. He showed me the warehouse. He told me they had a terminal contractor position open and that they were looking they're kind of taking interviews for the best fit for terminal contractors. Yeah. And, they wanted somebody that could grow. And that was one of the main reasons why they went with us, is because we didn't want to just stay, 2 people in a truck. We wanted to be 20 plus, 100 plus people eventually, right? Yep. And that's one of the reasons they went with us.
Yeah. I know. I think that's a great story, and just following a lead or a need, and it ends up with a terminal contract, and it not only helps you and the people that work for you, but the company that you are contracting with to be able to provide that service and grow with their needs as well.
Absolutely. So,
how has growth been for you just in this last year and a half? I'm just going to state the word out there that a lot of people have been experiencing challenges with employees and finding employees. That's what you hear from a lot of different companies and business owners. So how has that been going for you in this last year and a half?
Yeah. So, from starting the moving company at the very beginning, staffing's always been a problem. And so that's something we're trying to tackle this year, but there's always up and downs, right? Like last year we went from 10 employees to 20 employees in like a month or 2.
Okay. Yeah.
Which was crazy. And then in the winter we dropped back down to about 7 to 10. Yep. And literally I had 3 phone calls in the past 2 days for new hires full time that were qualified. And so I was like, that's crazy, because you can go 5 months without having anybody, no moving experience, they're not good with customers, something. And to find 3 people they're willing to just step up to the plate same days is very rare. In order to counteract that, I actually called another contractor that works with the company that we are contracted with, University. They have a couple different locations. I know the other contractor at the other location. So I called him and asked for some advice for him, and kind of took that advice, put a little spin on it. And we were able to find some very good contractors. When it comes to moving, there's movers all over the country. Yeah. And you just need to call them up and say, hey, you available Friday? You available on May 7th? Because I have 10,000 pounds need to be unloaded. Yeah, they tell you the price, and then they're there, and you just build the price into your calculator.
Yep. Okay. Now, what makes Move More stand apart from other competitors? I mean, I imagine there are some large national companies that do moving. There's, the two men in a truck, and I don't know where they're from, but College Hunks is a local company, I think.
Yeah.
I don't know that they're all hunks though, and I don't think that that's necessarily the requirements to work there, but maybe that's how they got started. That said, what makes your company stand apart, or what are you endeavoring to do to help make your company stand apart for maybe not only the customers, but also the people that work with you?
Yeah, absolutely. So the biggest thing that I think that keeps us standing apart from other companies, or from other moving companies specifically, is they're strictly seasonal. They'll hire 10 people for summer, fire those same 10 people 7 months later when it gets rough.
Yep.
I try my best to not do that. Obviously, there's some times where you have to get rid of half the labor, but I've heard of moving companies getting rid of 85% of their labor for the winter, and the fact that we're getting rid of half, I think, is pretty good. So that's the first thing. And the second thing is, I like to tell clients that I'm a one-stop shop for any moving, right? That's labor only to moving to Russia. Like, you could call me for whatever you need, and I can pick up the phone and make a call to get you connected, because I have connections all over the world, and I know two men in a truck wouldn't be able to do that for you. College wouldn't be able to do that for you. A lot of the big moving companies don't like to talk to the other moving companies, right?
Okay. Sure.
And so I like to be a one-stop shop for them and be able to help people, because the biggest way to make a successful company is to help others.
Yeah. No, I really like that. And I think absolutely 100% agree with you on that. And that if you are willing and able to serve others, that you're going to go further for a longer period of time than somebody who's not going to do that. And also have the individuals who are going to find that they're more dedicated to working with you and for you and having you do the work for them. So I like that answer. Now, we're going to move into something that I've yet to name, but I ask 3 primary questions, 2 that I've asked before, but I'm going to slip in another one today because I think it'd be fun to ask as well. One question being, if you are approached by someone who is interested in starting a small business or just becoming an entrepreneur in some capacity, what are some primary tips you give them? Just brief primary tips and suggestions, things that maybe you've learned or heard along the way.
Okay. Starting any business, just in general?
Absolutely. In general. Yeah.
Okay. Find something you're good at, and then find a way to do it for free. But what I mean by that is, the biggest cost when it came to moving is, a lot of people, what they teach in college is you need to get a loan to start a company, right? So if I went the college route, they'd say you need to get a truck, you need to get employees, you need to get a building. And that's what school teaches you, right? School teaches you to go $300K in debt before having a single sale.
Sure.
What I say is, come up with the concept first. Let's just say you want to start your own small moving company. Find a way to do it for free or for pennies on the cost side, and then do it from then on out. Right? You can't don't go do a makeup brand, buy all the makeup and not sell a penny. But go ahead and sell the makeup, and then take that money, buy the actual makeup to then sell.
Yeah.
If that makes sense? Start a company cheap.
Absolutely. No, that absolutely makes sense. So by free, meaning on the expense side, keep that low to no expense on the front end as you're getting started, start making money, doing the service or selling the products, and using those funds to buy the products you're selling, so that you're not going into debt and burying yourself in a hole. But I think that's a solid tip, solid recommendation. Well, let's move into my second question. In regards to, if you were to be handed $1 million, no strings attached, how would you invest that in your business or another endeavor that you're interested in pursuing?
$1 million, no strings attached. It's funny. One of my partners and best friends, Carlos. You met Carlos before.
Yep.
He actually asked me somewhat of the same question literally yesterday, except it
Really?
was if you won the lottery, but it was
Okay.
it was like 100
Bigger
million.
number.
Yeah,
Okay.
it was a way bigger number. So let's see, with $1 million, how would I invest it first? Well, honestly, I would take that $1 million and I would like to get a couple trucks for the moving company, but I wouldn't use that money to get it. I'd use that money as like a proof of funds to go get a loan for the trucks.
Okay.
But honestly, I would take that $1 million and I wouldn't spend it on anything personal. I would either spend it on business branding, trucks, or maybe buy another small passive income business, or buy real estate with it. If we're limiting it to just the business, I would spend it on, dollies, marketing, maybe building once we get our own, labor force up there on our side, and then trucks. But if it's not just for that, I would definitely put some money towards the real estate side, because you can do a lot with $1 million on the real estate side.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I like that answer, and I think you're thinking beyond just the singular business as well, to developing more than one stream of income and looking at it as opportunities outside of the singular. So I like that. Right. The last question, I haven't really asked too many people, but I thought it'd be interesting to start doing so. But if you were to be asked, well, let me just ask, how do you keep yourself, what type of activities do you engage in to keep yourself sane and decreased on the stress side? Because all of us need some type of outlet or some type of stress reducing activities in life. And there are many unhealthy activities that people do engage in, and also very healthy ones. But what for you has been the best source of stress relief and keeping yourself sane?
Yeah, absolutely. So at the very beginning, the biggest part for my stress relief is actually the moving of furniture. Physical exertion is how I actually relieve stress. So that could be, I mean, I did boxing for a couple months. Moving furniture is a very good stress reliever. The biggest thing is probably for me though is the gym. The gym and hockey. I play adult league hockey. Nothing too special.
That's cool.
But I play those on Sundays, and then I try to work out every single day. If I can't in the morning, in the afternoon, but I try to aim for it in the morning.
Okay. Absolutely. Physical fitness, I think, is definitely an area that is key. I think physical fitness, sleep, those two hand in hand are very valuable in everyone's daily life. So, and I like that fact that the physical exertion of doing the work that you're doing also is part of your stress relief, because it does allow you some of that physical fitness that's just part of your day-to-day operation. So now if you're sitting behind a desk more in the future, then you're really going to have to be intentional about getting to the gym as well. But
correct. That's why I like to work out in the morning, because then you can take out all the frustration of yesterday's. Because they actually say if you do the hardest thing in the morning, it makes the rest of your day a lot easier. So if the hardest thing for you to do in the morning is to physically exert your body, then everything else throughout the day is much easier.
Yeah.
And that's why
I like that. I like that. And that's a good reminder for anyone who's listening, really, to look at what they are doing and what they avoid doing, and maybe rearrange some of those things so that they are completing those hard tasks, those difficult tasks early on in the day, rather than waiting and then just not doing them later in the day. But now, Casey, if anyone wants to reach out to you to find out more about what you're doing, whether it's in the area of moving or just in life, as you are continuing to have that entrepreneurial mindset and look at new opportunities in the future, what's the best way for someone to connect with you?
I would say via email or Facebook, honestly.
Okay. All right. So if they want to find you, Casey Moore on Facebook, or sending you an email. And what's your email address? We'll add that in the show notes. Just that.
Email address is Casey, my first name, at movemoregr.com.
All right. That's simple. Casey, K-A-C-A-S-E-Y at movemoregr.com. All right. I love that, Casey. And I really appreciate this conversation. You are an impressive individual in the work that you're doing already. And each time I've spoken with you, you radiate positivity, as well as I've heard multiple different pieces of wisdom come from you that, at 24, I definitely wasn't thinking about. So
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah, absolutely. I appreciate seeing someone who's leaning into that learning, but also application of what they're learning. So thanks again for your time today. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you too, Zach. Appreciate your time.
All right, take care.
Thank you, you too.